You stand at your loft door, watching your birds circle before landing. They dip their wings, call softly, and dive into the trap with confidence. You feel pride. Your loft is clean, dry, and well built. You've done everything right, or so you believe. But what if the very structure you've poured your heart into is quietly confusing your bird's internal compass? What if the reason they hesitate, land on neighbors' roofs, or vanish on short tosses isn't their fault but the invisible signals your loft is sending? 90% of fanciers never notice this mistake because it's not in the feed, not in the training, and not in the bloodlines. It's in the walls, the roof, the wiring, and the direction your loft faces. And it's disrupting the delicate navigation systems pigeons rely on to find home. The first and most critical error is loft orientation. Most lofts are built facing south because it's warm, because it's traditional, because the sun feels good on the fancier's back. But for a pigeon, south-facing isn't always best. Pigeons navigate using the sun as a compass, and they calibrate their internal clock based on the angle of sunlight at dawn and dusk. If your loft faces directly south, the morning sun blasts through the front, creating glare and uneven light that distorts their perception of direction. Worse, if your loft is surrounded by tall trees, buildings, or hills to the south, the bird sees a wall of shadow when it tries to return from the most common race direction. It doesn't recognize home because the visual approach is blocked. The ideal loft faces southeast. This allows gentle morning light to enter without glare, gives a clear view of the southern sky, the primary race corridor, and lets the bird see its home from miles away as a distinct shape against the horizon. But orientation is only the beginning. The second mistake is magnetic interference. Pigeons possess tiny iron-rich crystals in their beaks, and possibly in their eyes, that act as a biological compass, sensing the Earth's magnetic field. This system is incredibly sensitive and incredibly fragile. Metal roofing, steel beams, underground pipes, power lines, and even household wiring can create magnetic anomalies that scramble this internal GPS. A loft built on a steel frame may look strong, but to a pigeon, it feels like standing inside a broken compass. Studies from the Max Planck Institute have shown that pigeons released near lofts with high magnetic distortion take 30% longer to orient and are 3 times more likely to fly in the wrong direction. Yet most fanciers never consider this. They check the weather, the feed, the wind, but not the invisible field their birds navigate by. To test for magnetic interference, use a simple handheld compass. Walk around your loft at different times of day. If the needle wobbles, spins, or points inconsistently, your loft is creating noise. The solution isn't expensive. Avoid metal roofing. Use wood or clay tiles. Keep electrical panels, water heaters, and large appliances away from the loft walls. If you must have wiring, run it along the outside of the building, not through the interior walls. Even the type of nails you use matters. Galvanized steel creates more distortion than copper or aluminum. The third error is light pollution. Not from streetlights, but from inside the loft itself. Many fanciers install bright LED lights for evening checks, not realizing that artificial light at night disrupts the pigeon's circadian rhythm. This internal clock is essential for sun compass navigation. If the bird's sense of time is off, even by an hour, it will misread the sun's position and fly in the wrong direction. A loft that glows with white light after dark confuses the bird's biology. The fix is simple: use only warm, dim, red-tone lighting if you must enter at night. Red light has the least impact on circadian rhythms. Better yet, avoid artificial light altogether. Train yourself to work by natural light. Let the loft follow the rhythm of the sun. Bright in the day, dark at night. This isn't just tradition, it's biology. The fourth mistake is visual clutter. Your loft may be clean inside, but what does it look like from the sky? If it blends into the roofline of your house, matches the color of nearby barns, or sits in a sea of identical structures, your bird cannot distinguish it on return. Navigation isn't just about direction, it's about recognition. The moment the bird sees home, it must know without doubt that this is the place. Top fanciers make their lofts visually unique. They paint the roof a bright, contrasting color. Red, white, or yellow. They add a small flag, a windsock, or a reflective strip that catches the sun. They keep the area around the loft clear of hanging laundry, satellite dishes, or new furniture that changes the silhouette. One fancier in Belgium added a white bucket on his roof edge. His return rate jumped by 20% in one season, not because his birds were faster, but because they could see home from farther away. But the deepest error is inconsistency. Pigeons thrive on predictability. The same light, the same sounds, the same layout, day after day. Yet many fanciers change their loft during racing season, repainting, moving perches, adding new feeders. To a human, these are small changes. To a pigeon building a mental map of home, they are earthquakes. A perch moved 30 centimeters alters the bird's landing trajectory. A new water changes the scent of the space. A fresh coat of paint erases the familiar smell of home. These changes seem harmless, but they create doubt, and doubt is the enemy of navigation. The bird circles, unsure. It lands on a similar-looking roof. It gives up. This isn't about perfection. It's about awareness. You don't need to rebuild your loft. You just need to see it through your bird's eyes. Stand where they land. Look up. What do you see? Is your loft a beacon or a blur? Is it calm or chaotic? Is it consistent or changing? The answers to these questions matter more than the quality of your feed or the fame of your bloodlines. Because no bird, no matter how strong or smart, can find a home it doesn't recognize. So the next time you admire your loft, ask yourself, is this a place I like or a place my birds can find? Because the difference between a lost bird and a champion isn't speed, it's clarity. And clarity begins not the moment your bird decides to land. The race is not over. It has entered its final, most critical phase. Recognition, not just of the loft, but of the entrance, the trap. This is where many birds fail, not because they're tired or lost, but because the trap itself sends confusing signals. The trap is not a door, it is a promise. And if that promise is unclear, the bird hesitates. And hesitation, in the world of racing pigeons, is often the difference between coming home and vanishing forever. The first mistake is trap placement. Many lofts place the trap on the side of the building, hidden from the southern approach. But races almost always come from the south. If the bird must circle to find the entrance, it burns precious energy, loses confidence, and may give up. The ideal trap faces south or southeast, directly into the primary flight path. It should be visible from at least 500 meters away, unobstructed by gutters, vents, or overhanging branches. A bird returning from a 300-kilometer race is exhausted. It does not have the energy to search. It needs to see home and dive. The second error is trap design. Spring-loaded traps, complex latches, or heavy doors create noise and resistance. A tired bird pushing against a stiff trap may retreat, thinking it's closed or unsafe. The best traps are lightweight, silent, and easy to open from the outside. They should swing inward with the weight of a single feather. Some top fanciers use simple wooden flaps with a gentle counterweight. No springs, no metal, no sound. The bird lands, steps on the ledge, and the trap opens like a welcoming hand. There is no struggle, only ease. But design is only part of the story. The third mistake is trap color and contrast. A trap painted the same color as the roof blends in. To a bird scanning the horizon, it disappears. The solution is stark contrast. Paint the trap frame bright white, red or yellow colors that stand out against natural backgrounds. Add a small strip of reflective tape above the entrance to catch the sun. One fancier in the Netherlands painted his trap bright red and added a white border. His young bird return rate on a 100-kilometer races jumped from 65% to 92% in one season. Not because his birds were better, because they could see the door. The fourth error is scent confusion. Pigeons use smell as a navigation aid, especially in the final kilometers. They memorize the unique odor of their loft, the wood, the feed, the droppings, even the fancier's scent. But if the trap area smells different, like paint, plastic, or cleaning chemicals, the bird hesitates. It sniffs, unsure. Is this home? The fix is simple. Never use strong cleaners near the trap. Never paint or varnish the entrance during racing season. If you must repair, do it in the off-season and let the smell fade for weeks. Better yet, rub a small piece of familiar loft wood or bedding near the trap to reinforce the scent of home. The fifth mistake is human presence. Many fanciers stand near the trap when birds return, calling, waving, or opening the door manually. This seems helpful, but to a wild animal, a human near the entrance is a predator. The bird circles, wary. It lands on a neighbor's roof instead. The top fanciers know this. They stay inside the house. They watch from a window. They let the bird land and enter on its own. If the trap is stuck, they wait until the bird has rested, then fix it quietly. Trust is built in silence. But the deepest issue is inconsistency in trap routine. Some days the trap is open. Some days it's closed. Some days it's propped with a stick. Some days it's automatic. To a pigeon, this is chaos. It learns that home is unpredictable. The solution is absolute consistency. During racing season, the trap should operate the same way every single day. If it's a manual trap, open it at the same time each morning and close it at the same time each evening. If it's automatic, ensure it's clean, oiled, and functioning without fail. A bird that knows the trap will be open when it returns flies with confidence. A bird that doubts wastes energy circling, watching, waiting. Now consider the landing zone. The area directly in front of the trap must be clear. No wires, no antennas, no laundry lines. These create visual barriers that force the bird to adjust its approach at the last second, increasing the risk of missed landings or injury. The ideal landing zone is a smooth open space, wood, tile, or clean concrete, extending at least 1 meter in all directions from the trap. Some fanciers add a small wooden platform just below the entrance to give the bird a stable first step. And never underestimate the power of sound. A quiet loft is a safe loft, but if the trap squeaks, The wind whistles through gaps or nearby machinery hums. The bird hears noise where it expects calm. Lubricate hinges with natural oil, not petroleum-based grease. Seal gaps that whistle in the wind. Keep the area around the loft free of barking dogs, loud radios, or slamming doors. Sound is part of the home signature, and if it changes, the bird notices. This isn't about luxury, it's about clarity. Every detail of the trap, its direction, its color, its sound, its scent, sends a message. That message should be one thing and one thing only. This is home. You are safe. Enter. So as you look at your trap today, ask yourself, is it a barrier or a beacon? Is it confusing or clear? Because the bird doesn't care how beautiful your loft is. It only cares whether it can find the door. And in that moment of return, everything depends on a single silent promise. That home will be exactly as it was when it left. The fancier who understands this doesn't just build a loft, they build a welcome. And that welcome is what turns a tired flyer into a champion. One quiet landing at a time. Inside the loft, the air should feel like a breath of calm. Not just clean, but alive with the quiet rhythm of a healthy flock. But for most lofts, the interior is a hidden source of stress, confusion, and slow decline. The mistake isn't dirt or disease. It's the invisible imbalance of air, space, and sound that no fancier sees but every bird feels. The first error is airflow design. Many lofts are built to keep rain out and heat in, but not to move air. Stagnant air traps. Ammonia from droppings, dust from feed, and moisture from breath. This irritates the bird's lungs, weakens their immunity, and dulls their senses. Navigation begins in the nose and the lungs, organs that must be clear to detect scents and oxygenate the brain. The solution is passive cross-ventilation. Place small adjustable vents high on the north and south walls, not on the same wall but opposite. This creates a gentle flow of air that moves across the loft without drafts. Never place vents directly above perches. Cold air falling on resting birds causes respiratory stress. The ideal airflow is so soft you can't feel it, but you can smell the difference, clean, dry, and fresh. The second mistake is perch layout. Perches are not just places to sleep. They are social maps, territorial markers, and landing guides. Yet most lofts cram perches too close together, forcing dominant birds to bully the weak, or place them in chaotic arrangements that confuse young birds. The ideal layout is tiered, spaced, and consistent. Use horizontal perches at 3 levels, low for young or shy birds, middle for most racers, high for dominant cocks. Space them at least 30 centimeters apart, enough room to turn, stretch, and land without bumping. Never use round perches. Pigeons need flat surfaces to grip with their feet. Use 3 by 3 centimeter wooden slats, sanded smooth. And never change the layout during racing season. A moved perch is a lost landmark. The third error is flooring and bedding. Concrete floors are cold, hard, and echo sound. Wire floors trap droppings but cut feet and create stress. The best floors are wooden, slightly sloped for drainage, and covered with absorbent bedding, wood shavings or chopped straw. This muffles sound, absorbs moisture, and creates a natural earthy smell that calms the birds. Change bedding weekly, but never strip the loft bare. Leave a thin layer of old bedding to preserve the familiar scent of home. A loft that smells completely new after cleaning confuses the bird's olfactory map. They sniff, uncertain, is this still home? The fourth mistake is light inside the loft. Too much direct sun creates hot spots and glare. Too little light makes the space feel like a cave. The ideal is diffused natural light. Use translucent roofing panels or high windows that let in soft daylight without direct beams. Avoid glass windows at bird level. They create reflections that birds mistake for open sky, leading to crashes. If you must use artificial light, use only warm, low-wattage bulbs on a timer that mimics sunrise and sunset. Never leave lights on at night. Darkness is not emptiness. It is rest, and rest is where healing happens. The fifth error is noise inside the loft. Not just outside sounds, but internal echoes. A bare wooden loft with hard walls bounces every coo, every wing beat, every footstep into a chaotic symphony. This overstimulates the bird's nervous systems, raising stress hormones that suppress immunity and dull navigation. The fix is acoustic softening. Line the walls with thin plywood or fabric panels. Hang burlap sacks in corners. Use deep bedding on the floor. These small changes absorb sound, creating a hushed, peaceful space. One fancier in Poland lined his loft walls with old wool blankets during racing season. His birds' droppings became firmer, their eyes brighter, and their return times more consistent. Not because of feed, because of silence. But the deepest mistake is overcrowding. A loft that holds 20 birds may seem efficient, but it's a pressure cooker of stress. Each bird needs personal space, enough room to move, stretch, and retreat. The rule is simple: 1 square meter per bird. Not for flying, for peace. In crowded lofts, birds cannot establish stable social hierarchies. Constant low-level fighting drains energy, raises cortisol, and weakens the immune system. The result isn't just disease. It's poor racing. A stressed bird doesn't navigate well. Its brain is in survival mode, not mapping mode. Reduce your flock size if needed. Better to raise 10 calm birds than 20 anxious ones. Now consider water and feed placement. These should be consistent, accessible, and separate. Never place waters under perches. Droppings will contaminate them. Never move feeders between races. Birds memorize the location of resources as part of their home map. A moved feeder creates doubt. Use heavy, stable bowls that don't tip. Clean them daily, but rinse with the same water source your birds are used to. Sudden changes in water taste or smell cause birds to drink less, leading to dehydration and poor recovery. And never ignore humidity. Ideal loft humidity is 50 to 60%. Below 40%, the air is too dry, respiratory tracts dry out, droppings become dusty, and static electricity builds, which can interfere with magnetic sensing. Above 70%, mold grows, droppings ferment, and ammonia levels rise. Use a simple hygrometer to monitor. In dry climates, place a shallow pan of water on the floor. In humid climates, increase ventilation and use absorbent bedding. This isn't about luxury, it's about biology. Every breath, every step, every moment of rest inside the loft shapes the bird's ability to fly, think, and return. A calm loft produces calm birds. Calm birds navigate with clarity, and clarity is what brings them home through storms, distance, and exhaustion. So as you walk into your loft, don't just look, listen, smell, feel. Is the air still or flowing? Is the sound soft or sharp? Is the space predictable or chaotic? The answers to these questions matter more than the pedigree on your bird's papers, because no champion can thrive in a home that confuses the senses. The fancier who masters the interior doesn't just build a shelter, they build a sanctuary, and in that sanctuary every bird finds not just rest. The final truth about the loft is this: it is not a building, it is a living extension of the bird's mind. Every beam, every breath of air, every ray of light becomes part of the mental map the pigeon carries into the sky. And when that map is clear, consistent, and calm, the bird flies with confidence. But when it is distorted by invisible errors, the bird flies with doubt. The greatest mistake fanciers make is believing that once the loft is built, the work is done. But a loft is not static. It must evolve with the seasons, the birds, and the science of care. The first step in this evolution is seasonal adaptation. In winter, the loft must retain heat without trapping moisture. Seal gaps that let in cold wind, but keep high vents open to prevent ammonia buildup. Use thicker bedding, wood shavings layered over straw to insulate the floor. In summer, the priority shifts to cooling and airflow. Add shade cloth over the roof, open all vents, and place shallow water pans on the floor to increase evaporative cooling. Never use fans that blow directly on the birds. This creates stress. Let the air move gently like a breeze through trees. The birds should never shiver in winter or pant in summer. Their bodies must remain in balance because a body out of balance cannot navigate well. The second step is integration of natural rhythms. A loft that fights nature creates stress. A loft that works with nature creates harmony. Align feeding times with sunrise and sunset. Let the birds wake and sleep with the sun. Avoid artificial routines that disrupt their internal clocks. Use natural materials, wood, clay, stone, instead of plastic, metal, or concrete. These materials breathe, regulate humidity, and carry familiar scents. Even the color of the walls matters. Soft earth tones, beige, cream, light brown, calm the nervous system. Bright whites or dark grays create visual tension. One fancier in France painted his interior walls a soft terracotta after reading studies on animal stress. Within weeks, his birds' droppings improved, their molting became smoother, and their trap response sharpened, not because of feed, because of color. The third step is minimalism. A cluttered loft is a confusing loft. Remove anything that doesn't serve the birds. Extra tools, unused baskets, decorative items, hanging wires. Every object adds visual noise, scent interference, or magnetic distortion. The ideal loft has only what is necessary: perches, feeders, waterers, nesting boxes, and clean bedding. Nothing more. This isn't austerity, it's clarity. A bird that sees only what it needs to see can focus on what matters: rest, recovery, and readiness. The fourth step is observation as ritual. Spend 10 minutes each day sitting quietly in or near the loft, not watching but listening. Watch how the birds move. Do they land confidently? Do they eat with enthusiasm? Do they preen in the sun or huddle in corners? These are not just behaviors, they are messages. A bird that avoids a certain perch may be signaling pain. A bird that drinks excessively may be dehydrated from poor airflow. A bird that coos less may be stressed by hidden noise. The fancier who listens learns more than any book can teach, and this listening must be consistent, not just after losses but every day and every season. The fifth step is community wisdom. No fancier has all the answers. Visit other lofts not to compare but to learn. Notice how they position vents, paint traps, arrange perches. Ask questions. Share your own discoveries. In the Netherlands, a group of fanciers formed a loft walk club where they tour each other's lofts once a month, offering quiet feedback. Their collective return rates rose by 30% in 2 years. Recovery, navigation, and racing are not solitary acts. They are shared practices, refined through humility and exchange. But the deepest step is ethics of space. The loft is not yours. It belongs to the birds. You are its steward, not its owner. Every decision where to place a vent, what color to paint, how many birds to house must be made from the bird's perspective, not your convenience. Would this perch feel safe to land on after a 400-kilometer flight? Would this air feel clean to breathe after hours in polluted skies? Would this silence feel like peace after navigating chaos? When you design from this place of empathy, the loft becomes more than shelter. It becomes a promise that no matter how far you fly, home will be a place of clarity, calm, and care. This is why the top lofts are not the fanciest. They are the most thoughtful. They don't dazzle with size or technology. They soothe with consistency, simplicity, and respect. And in that simplicity, birds thrive, not just as racers, but as living beings with instincts, intelligence, and trust. So as you stand in your loft today, ask yourself, is this a place built for me or for them? Because the difference between a lost bird and a champion isn't in the wings, it's in the four walls that taught it what home feels like. And when your bird circles your loft, tired but certain, and dives in without hesitation, that's not just a return. It's a testament to the quiet work you've done to make this space not just a building but a beacon. The mistake of the invisible loft ends not with a single fix, but with a lifetime of attention. And in that attention, you do more than win races. You honor the ancient bond between human and pigeon, a bond built not on control but on care. Because in the end, we do not race pigeons to see how far they can fly. We race them to see how deeply they believe in coming home. And it is our duty to make that home worth returning to every single time.